There's a new game in town, and what I'm here to do is to give you sort of the filter or the glasses to take a look at this new game. Because the new game is now thriving. So how does this new game become a reality for us? Today I was working at the World Bank, and I talked with one of the people there, and I said, what are you doing here in this seminar on thriving? And she said, well, I said, first of all, it's so beautiful outside, and you did have a choice about coming here. It's one of the days that makes Washington worth living in. Why aren't you out there? And she said, well, frankly, I'm here because I want to be able to create a beautiful day inside myself all the time. And I'm looking for the blue sky.
Thrival is the act of living beyond self-imposed limitations by choosing options in life that far exceed normal choices.
Now you all know what an inner tube is. It's not just for floating down a river. This is also for bearing a fairly heavy load in a car or a motorcycle or in your John Deere lawn tractor. Okay? If you happen to hit a pothole, you've got to make sure that you have enough pressure here to withstand the weight of the vehicle and also whatever the shock is. So otherwise you get a bent rim. And for the rest of your days, as long as you keep this, it's going to be ka-thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. Okay. So what I'm going to recommend is that you adopt an inner tude. And an inner tude means that you refuse to bruise. That if you have something happening in the next week, someone you have to confront, and you think about that right now and you feel just a little bit of depression, a little bit of collapse in your body, that you breathe into that area of your body and you actually fill it out so that you have less area for whatever it is to collect. That you create a rounded edge so that you can deflect a lot of what's coming your way. And another thing is, let you blow the dents out of the can. Okay? You see, we can live with the trauma and let it continue to affect us and dent us and hurt us and mar us, or we can assume the posture we were given. We can take the space that we have been given in life.
Thrival is moving beyond mere survival and uncertainty into continuous tranquility, confidence, and positive energy. The result? Healthier relationships, happiness, and professional excellence.
Now, how can we face the pain that we come up against? See, for me, the greatest pain is not physical. The greatest pain for me is emotional. What I want to avoid most is opening my heart, because if my heart is open, can't I be wounded? If I'm here unshielded, can't I be open? But you see, opening my heart to you is not even as difficult as opening my heart to myself. There are basically three rules, among others, in thriving, but one of them is about punishing or punishment. Most of us grew up feeling that we had other people, authority figures, who were really much more knowledgeable than we were, and as a matter of fact, if they punished us, it was for our own good. So we end up going through an entire lifetime being punished, and sometimes being grateful for it. Well, the rules in thriving are, I will not punish you. I will not allow you to punish me. Whoa. But the most difficult one, the groaner, is to keep from punishing myself. That's the most difficult.
Dr. Paul Radde, professional speaker, author, and psychologist. For over 30 years, Dr. Paul Radde has researched and field-tested what brings out the best in people in all walks of life. His programs offer new meaning to the word success, and most importantly, teaches people how to sustain such definitive moments in all areas of their life, ultimately sustaining a thrival state.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Radde. I work with corporations, federal agencies, associations, both state and national, and I've worked overseas as well. In addition, I have a private practice of psychotherapy, and I also take some of my knowledge from that work out in working with different organizations as an organizational development consultant. One thing that I try to do when I work with an organization or an individual, first of all, is to alleviate their suffering, so we can then work toward helping them get what they want. And frankly, I like to see if I can shoot people beyond where they even dreamed they could go. In other words, to improve their lot, to give them the tips, tools, and techniques so that they're actually thriving, not just surviving. The big difference that's occurred for us hasn't really slipped by under our noses totally. From all of human history, survival was the main motive. First, we were out surviving just under the guise of getting past nature. We were in small bands of people. We hunted, we gathered. And if nature wasn't benevolent and there was no rain, we didn't have any fruits or berries to eat. And when that happened, the animals moved on, and so we had to follow them. And sometimes the rain came in such abundance that it flooded us out. Then about 6000 BC, we cultivated crops and we domesticated animals, but we still had the motive, the main motive of simple survival. Why? Because neighboring bands could come in and subjugate us, take away our territory, drive us off it, or kill us. So in the first phase of history of survival, it was simply doing, like a bunch of shrews trying to eat our body weight to stay alive. In the second phase, it was a matter of having, possessing. In the first case, God or nature was the enemy. In the second phase, the other was the enemy. And we saw the high point of that when Reagan one day spontaneously pronounced that the evil empire was made up of people who had no morals at all. Well, they didn't do damage control, they let it ride. But he made it up on the spot. That, to me, was in a sense the epitome of this second age of survival. November 1989. More sudden than any of us expected, the Berlin Wall fell. The Soviet Union started to topple, fall apart. At the fall of the Berlin Wall, I would say, not having looked for such a pivotal moment, not such a turning point, but if anything marks the next age in humanity, let's call it the 9th, 10th, or 11th of November 1989. Because that was the point at which we lost the enemy that we had created in our own mind, in our national mind. There no longer was a major elephant to fight out there. No longer a major evil nation. We saw they are people just like us, and they have their difficulties. Now we've moved into a new phase, because where the two phases were all about survival, all about doing and all about having, now it's about being. So who's the new enemy? The new enemy actually is the dark side of ourselves. It's how do we start to face the parts of ourselves that we never considered really good? How do we start looking at the opposite side of our goodness and see if we can integrate that, shine a little light on it, and accept ourselves more directly?
In his Head of the Curve concepts, Dr. Paul Radde provides 5 groundbreaking steps to achieve and sustaining the Thrival state. Innertude, the essential attitude. Physical and emotional centering. Acceptance. Transcendence. And sustained synchronicity and resonance. His work teaches CEOs, managers, and individuals how to sustain the feeling of success while enjoying fulfillment and peace of mind in daily actions, decisions, and choices.
I think life can be better. I think it can be better for everybody. And I've taken a long time to make my life better. And I find that the more positive the people are that I'm around, the more enjoyable they are. The more positive I am, the more my life is good. So I really want to see the possibility of helping people rise above their circumstances and to be more positive. I want to help people to know better so that they can do better. And some of knowing better is that a lot of people don't even know it's possible to sustain success. They don't know that it's possible to thrive on a day-to-day basis. So they're going along just thinking that they're enduring, they're just surviving, they're just putting off death. Now that sounds pretty bleak, but for many people, when you get underneath it all, which I get to do in therapy, when I hear what they're really dealing with, it isn't happy. And that comes out in their family, it comes out in their business, it comes out in their lives. I think we all deserve better, but we got to work for it. And that's what I've been working on so that I can share it. I just want to put it out on a tray, and I want to share it with people. I go beyond just managing stress to taking a look at what would it be like to thrive all or most of the time. And most people can recall a time when they've thrived. They can also recall a time when things were hectic and chaotic. And they can go from one to the other in their own minds and actually feel the response in their bodies. Almost like athletes can image a good run on a ski slope or a basketball game. And once they see that they can control how they feel, in their bodies through their attitude and what they want to focus on, then they can start to approach, do I want to thrive all or most of the time?
Dr. Paul Radde is the author of Thrival, How to Have an Above-Average Day Every Day. Jack Canfield, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, says, there is so much that nourishes the soul and psyche in these pages. You'll gain a whole new perspective from Thrival. Dr. Radde has taught at Georgetown University and has spoken in several countries around the world. His Thrival concepts apply in areas of leadership, change, success, resilience, and management.
A woman came into my office and she said she was really flustered because her sister was getting her daughter a cat for her birthday. And I said, what's wrong with that? She said, well, it's awful. She hates cats. I said, well, has she bought it yet? No, she hasn't, but she's going to, and it's going to be terrible. And I said, well, how do you know? Well, when I lived with her, I had 2 cats, but she wouldn't even let the cats in the house. She made us stay in the basement apartment. Oh, okay. And she just hates cats. It's going to be awful. I said, okay, but it hasn't even happened yet. And as your therapist, you're wanting me to get really empathic with this. She said, that's right. I said, are you aware of the perhaps gazillion things you could be thinking about right now? You're choosing to think of that? That's right. I said, well, choose another thought. And what it comes down to is that each one of us can think about, ruminate about things that make us feel terrible, that create a sort of brain chemistry that oozes into our system and weakens us and makes us feel terrible, if we want. But there are basically 5 different ways people use their mind. One is the busy, busy, busy. I'm waiting for the sound of mud hitting the top of my casket to let me know that the idle mind that could be a devil's workshop is not going to go into effect. I'm going to be much too busy for that. That's one. Another way that people use their mind is they meditate, they contemplate, they sit quietly and vacate their mind, give it a rest. The third way is you're looking for your keys. It's an objective, or you're running a big project, or you're writing a book. The fourth way people occupy their mind or think is that they have an inquiry, or they are incubating an idea, or they get an insight walking down the street and they want to write it down or put it in one of those little recording pens. But the fifth way is the rumination. And the rumination is what I was talking about. Here's a person, perfectly free and clear, could walk all week long feeling wonderful, having a wonderful innertude, filling herself up. And yet what she's choosing to do is focus on that one thing.
If you are ready to turbocharge your life and the lives of the people in your organization, then you're ready for the tools and strategies of Dr. Paul Radde's Thrival system.
One of the questions I've asked people about Thrival is, how good do you deserve to feel? And usually there's very tentative kind of response from the audience. And after the speech is over, some people will stand way off to the side. They won't come up for any congratulations or any business card exchange or anything like that. But they'll wait until everybody else leaves, and then they'll come up and they'll whisper in my ear, how good do I deserve to feel? And for me, that's a little bit lamentable. At the same time, it's very endearing because people really don't feel like they deserve to thrive. I think they do. And that's what I've spent my time working on this lifetime. How can you thrive, and how can I help you get there? If you take a look at the intake, how you keep yourself, how you take care of yourself in terms of what you put in your body, the practices that you engage in, your attitude, and your healthy thinking, then what will happen is that you will find yourself resonating at a higher level. You will find yourself a brighter light. You will find yourself emanating energy to people which will be attractive to them and which will make you share your joy. So joy is your birthright. It's also your responsibility and my responsibility. Thank you.
For booking information, please refer to the person who provided this tape.